So one needs to literally be careful of our intentions. What is our intention? You ask a young man who is interested in a girl. The fathers usually ask, "What is your intention? What is your what is your intention?" Anyway,
Are you reminiscing on the time you were asked of your intentions?
I was never asked of my intentions. My intentions
We're clear on
apparently
that.
were very clear. I am very happily married, and my wife recently she took out some old photos, and last night I reviewed an album. I fell in love all again.
Yeah.
She was stunning,
Wow.
and like wine, she got better with time.
All right. Because this is national TV, and we don't
Yes,
want to contribute to
certainly,
any of
certainly.
the
But that's
things that are
another
going
thing.
on.
Men are not modeling or promoting marriage, wholesome marriages. So, and because we do not use the platform of the national television to talk about marriage, the young men think it expedient or wise to not be faithful, to not practice monogamy. So, I believe that you should have a forum that
Yeah.
encourages moral a moral compass, moral decency. You see, what I discovered too is that we don't have a decency prototype.
We
That
really
needs
don't.
to be implemented.
Yeah. And what we have though, it comes back to all these examples in the music videos and so on. These people that other
We
youngsters look up
glorify
to talk about having
multiple
more than yeah,
relationships and
yeah, and
so
the disrespect that is portrayed for
disrespecting a
women.
woman. Exactly,
And
exactly.
even us women, we seemingly enjoy it and participate in it, and makes it easier
A
for
woman will call her friend a bee.
yeah.
You literally teach a
But you're
man
upset when
how
a man
to.
does it.
Exactly. You teach a man how to treat you, but if you don't have a sense of value, that's why the word is called self esteem. What is your estimated value? And you should never give away your power to say that because you say I'm ugly, I'm ugly. Because you say I'm beautiful, what is your standard as what is the standard for beauty? The Bible says we are all what? Fearfully and wonderfully made. You are made, you see, I learned from a carpenter, Bobil. He said, only a fool and a child judges a work that is unfinished. Most of us are unfinished work.
Certainly.
So, because we do not know who we are candidates of abuse. And abuse is simply abnormal use. So, you will be abnormally used because you do not know who you are. If I'm to take this cup and prop up this table, yes, it can function like that,
That's not the
but it's
purpose.
abuse. It's not the purpose. It's not the original intent. It's not the truth for which it was created.
All right. How, in your opinion, we can develop a clean and fun space for young people? Because we talked about these very things, like the music videos and all of these things that are affecting. But really and truly, if you were to look around, there aren't a lot of options
Yeah,
available. So
that's true.
how do you think that we can sort of implement the kind of thing that will help or will produce positive growth?
Charity begins at home. A child models what he sees in his home. So we must start there. You see, there are lights in this studio, and all it does is give illumination. The Bible says to let your light so shine among men that they may see your good works and give your Father in heaven glory. But back to the light. You can choose to be a light that illuminates, but you see, a focused light in the form of a laser can cut through steel. So we must discover what is the purpose, what is the objective, for us to appropriate the necessary focus. There are times when we need illumination. There are times when we need to cut through barriers. And currently we have barriers. So all it is focus. A laser is an intensely focused light, but nevertheless it is a light. So what are the barriers that we are faced with? And we need to now appropriate the necessary laser beam. What do we need to shine light upon? For God says, you see, we were deceived into believing that the fight we battle against light and darkness. No, white and black. But rather it's light and darkness. Light simply means education, information. Darkness means ignorance. For the devil is the what? Prince of darkness. He's the first one to rule that which you do not know. He's the first one to rule the area of ignorance. The Bible says, darkness covered the earth and gross darkness the people. That's why Christ said, I am the light of the world. I am the one who gives information to help you rule. The word said, the earth was void and darkness was on the face of the deep. But then he said, let there be light. You see, information brings order into your life. So where you find this disarray and confusion, God says, I am a what? A God of order, and everything must be done in order and decency. Information gives you order. So you find that with this confusion, what will challenge it is information. And we need to encourage, promote, model family. There needs to be a focus on the family. You find because the man is displaced and the woman is out of her place, the entire society crumbles. The man is the foundation. He's not the head. He's at the bottom of the family. But if he's out of place, the mother, the children have nowhere to stand. So you find a displaced man and a confused woman leads to destruction. So everybody needs to find their place in the home. That's why marriages, and we have to have marriage retreats and things that will contribute to a wholesome marriage, because the nation depends on it.
You talked earlier, we're running out of time, so I want to cram this in quickly. You talked earlier about the absence of or the deficit of role models, and our leaders giving this a not so, I don't want to say this word, but leaving for us an example that we can't be proud of. How can society really compensate our youth for this deficit in role models? I'm thinking if we had them, we would have had better young people in terms of, knowing who we are and what we want out of life. And
You see, we need to hold our officials. We need to hold those that we respect as leaders to a higher standard. We need to expect more from our leaders. And that goes across the social, spiritual, and economic divide. There needs to be accountability. We need to have responsible leaders. We need to have leaders who will model. And you see, there needs to be forum where we can challenge respectfully our leaders.
somehow I get the impression though that we're not mature enough to take criticisms. As lots of our leaders, in fact.
I garner that as well. But as a nation, we've allowed it. You see, we're told that evil runs rampant when the righteous remain silent. And there has been a silence that not only deafens, but has created a culture of irresponsibility.
Sometimes I sense that people talk and they take certain actions, but it's just the amount of people who actually do it, and I guess from where they have come seem to make the cause. And I'm talking about politics here. If you see things that you want, a certain group of people only will stand up for it. I mean, there are others who are going to say, well, they might see things as being wrong, or they might see that we need change in a specific area, but lots of people don't necessarily go out and demand what they think is right. And so the cause that this group of people who seem to be politically placed seem to have fallen, because, I mean, who's going to take the same group of people who've been complaining about everything all the time seriously? We're going to see them as just complaining about that one thing.
We need to be honest and stick to truth. Whatever you mismanage will be taken from you. God's standard is, if he that is faithful with little shall be made ruler over much. If we have squandered or mismanaged any resource, it will be taken from us. You understand? So the fact remains, as a result of our mismanagement, we have been robbed, or it has been taken away from us. He that is faithful with little shall be made ruler over much. He that is unfaithful with little will be unfaithful with much. So we need to be honest in our judgments, and we need to we need to take responsibility, personal responsibility. My initiative, be the one, is to be the better defined one who will become the one to effect change. You see, change is constant. It's the one promise that we can all hold on to. But if you do not effect change, you will become a victim of change. So if you're not progressively advancing anything, you will be affected. You will become a victim. And we need to move away from this level of mediocrity in the standards that we put forth from all levels, in all spheres, to raise the standard. Bible says when the enemy comes in like a flood, he shall raise the standard. So a level 2 problem needs a level 3 solution. We cannot any longer, we cannot continue to leave things the way they are and accept things how it is. You know, we have the saying, we very nonchalant and melancholy, and this is the way it is. We need to raise the standard. Remember, a level 1 issue needs a level 2 solution.
All right, let me get quickly, because we have to wrap up now. But I remember you mentioning the issue of racism, and we in Guyana, we're faced with this time immemorial, and because of our structure. And you talked about your experience in South Africa. How do you think that we can begin as a young person, begin to really address? Because this is my baby. I have said over and over, my background, I have every other race in me except Chinese I can account for. And so, and it's important for me to come up with solutions. So I'm going to ask you quickly, how do you think we can ultimately come to a solution? Because I know your wife is also
she's mixed.
She's
Her mother is East Indian, her father is, so she's mixed. We need to go back to the original intent. God made one race, the human race. Let us make man. Man was a species. So one needs to, if you cut me and I cut him, our blood is red. We both wearing red. We need to understand our value as a human being. That's why I told you earlier about Ubuntu. I am because you are. What affects me affects you. An East Indian person, and that's another thing with a defective human being. I see you for your outward appearance. Yet God says, man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at your heart. I must be able to treat you and engage and interact with you based on the content of your character, not based on your outward appearance. Because they're bad in the best of us and good in the worst of us. We are a human being. We are one family. We're all from Adam. You understand? We may look, as a result of slavery and colonization, we have different textures. And you see, Willie Lynch said he wrote a letter how to be a successful slave. So for one to have that defective mind, it shows and it's proof that you are a slave. Because it was written that we separate you. Willie Lynch wrote a letter how to separate, how to make a successful statement by separation, whereby you magnify the differences. So you need to say that for when you see someone and you see their race and not try to know them or get to know them, you say to yourself, this is defective. I need to become whole. And the issue is never in the person, because it's the issue is usually with you. So yes, there may be a race problem, but that is it has become so pervasive here. And you see, when I traveled overseas, we are all black. When I returned to Guyana, then I realized there's black and East Indian, but we're all black. And in South Africa, they call you non-white. So there's whites and there's non-whites. So it becomes a fallacy of our humanity. It is really defective, and I don't want to even because it's an issue, we have to give it ear. But let us starve it and remember that we engage and interact with people based on the content of their character and not be so superficial. Because look now, the woman, I don't want to knock women, but look at the weave. As a black person, you can get in these stinging weave. And then who are you? Who are you now? And we have such a challenge with our identity that we will spend countless resources to look different. It comes from a defective mind. We're all a part of the human race. We are a human being. We need to be proud in saying, I am a human being. What does that mean? That's a question I leave. What does it mean to be a human being?
All right. A wonderful discussion. I wish you all the best in your work. It is my opinion that Guyana desperately needs the kind of thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
And so I'm pleased that you are doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Roundtable would like to congratulate this powerful young man on the work he continues to do for the upliftment of young people in Guyana and abroad. We believe that this kind of engagement will help to guide the country's youth on a path that leads to their personal fulfillment, which can only be beneficial for this nation. As such, it is imperative for the government and civil society to support such initiatives. We owe this much to our future generations. Roundtable is pleased to have learned of the involvement of the government of Guyana and other agencies so far. This has been the Roundtable. I am Janelle Prasad. Goodbye.